Welcome, everyone. This is the Agnihotra lady broadcasting live from Shantivilla Institute from my Conyers, Georgia location. Our main location is in Tuskegee, Alabama, right up the street from historic Tuskegee University. And so tonight's talk is called Truth and Universal Teaching. So, as always, we're going to start with the Varuti mantra and then we'll jump right into the talk. So, we will begin now. Boom swaha. Agniyetam namama wa swaha. Vayavadam namama swa swaha. Suryayadam namama burva wa swa swaha. Prajapatiyadam namama. Okay, thank you, everyone. Um, Thanks for joining us this evening. And like I said before, tonight's talk is called Truth and Universal Teaching. Um, so, a lot of things have been happening. The last week, we had a big snowstorm, or trying to be snowstorm in Atlanta. So I wasn't able to go back to our main campus in Tuskegee because they had declared a state emergency, our governor. So I wasn't able to go back for the holiday to spend time with family up there. So um, anyway, just a lot of things are happening. So as you know, at Shantivilla Institute, we teach the ancient Ayurvedic wisdom of Agnihotra, which is a practice done in the copper pyramid. We light a specially prepared fire that consists of dried cow dung. It consists of brown rice, and then also of ghee, which is simply unsalted butter that's been melted down and the fat removed for about 20 minutes. And so we put these ingredients into the copper pyramid, and at sunrise and also at sunset, we say a Sanskrit mantra. And we do this at these times of sunrise and sunset because it's tuned into the circadian rhythm of nature. And there's a beautiful awakening to the planet at this time. And so when we perform Agnihotra, there's a purification that takes place within the atmosphere and the entire planet. And anyone that performs Agnihotra or is sitting around someone that is performing Agnihotra at the pyramid is part of this purification process. And as you know, the planet is going through a lot of things with inclement weather and storms and wildfires and things like that. And it's because the planet is off kilter. Mother Nature needs to be reset because of all the pollution that we humans have put upon the planet. So Agnihotra is a way to purify the air, it purifies the water, it purifies the soil so things can grow properly and regenerate within the soil. And so this is something that is very nourishing to the plant, flora, fauna, all of the animal kingdom, including humans, because we always say with all of the pollution that is happening, there's also a pollution of human minds that happens from the pollution that is a byproduct. It's not just Mother Earth that is suffering, and the animals, and the flowers and the fauna and all the plants and things like that. Is the humans too, because we are animals and we're on the planet to be caretakers. And we've not done a very good job of being caretakers. And so a lot of the things that are happening on the planet now is because of our failure to do the things that we were assigned to do when we were born. Okay, all of us that live here are to take care of the planet Earth. This is our home, and that is our duty, each and every individual. So when we talk about being responsible for all of the events that are happening to us now, every individual on the planet, every one of us. No one is innocent. We are all responsible what's happening to Mother Earth. And this is the way God, the creator, has intended it to be, that we as the humans, because we are in the image of Mother, Father, God, that we are the sacred caretakers of the planet. And so that is the first truth on which everything is predicated on. Okay. The way that you live, and for centuries of our ancestors, and from many times over, from a long time ago, understood that the ultimate truth is that we are to take care of the planet. We are to take care of the planet. And so a lot of the things that we're seeing is because we've failed to fulfill that covenant. Okay, this is a sacred, ancient covenant, and humans, we have broken it. So we here at Shantivilla Institute are here to remind everyone of what we are supposed to do. So when we talk about truth, truth can be many layered and sometimes complicated for some of us, because you may have your truth, someone else may have their truth, but then we say the ultimate truth is the truth that applies to everyone, regardless of what color they are, what religion they have, where they live, or any socioeconomic position that they are in. That truth applies to anyone. So we're talking about the truth of the sun, the truth of the trees, the truth of the flowers, the truth of the soil and the fish, the truth of the wind, the truth of the universe, because all of that is the truth of the creator. So when you understand that truth is based on things that are not movable or can be exchangeable between cultures and circumstances, then you understand that is truth. And so when people say, well, I believe this thing to be true, and this is the truth, even if you do not agree with it, you do not pass judgment. Just understand that that is their truth. And then if you want to gently guide them to what is the ultimate truth that applies to everyone, then you do that in a very loving way. You're not to be dogmatic and insist that your way of thinking, the truth, is the way that they should go, because everybody has their individual path. Okay, but understand that the ultimate truth, the truth that God has in place for everyone, applies equally to everyone, no matter what corner of the earth they live on. So when we say that there's a problem with pollution and it's affecting the minds of the people, it really has. And you can see that not only with what's happened in Buffalo, with people being killed from the extreme weather that they were not prepared for. And of course, all of the airlines, the Southwest had to cancel all these flights and people are stuck. We need to remember that we do not control Mother Nature. We think that we can control things with our technology, but the ultimate technology comes from God, the creator. We cannot control nature, even though we are arrogant and we are filled with ego, thinking that we can control everything. The only thing that you are supposed to do is to discipline yourself and train your mind to be full of love and not to be overcome with negativity. That you can't control. And so with Agnihotra, what we teach here at Shantivilla Institute, we teach that mind renewal and mind transformation takes place whenever you are using the Agnihotra to cleanse the atmosphere. When you perform Agnihotra at sunrise and sunset, there's a transformation that happens to the planet, and there's a transformation that happens to the mind of the person that is performing Agnihotra. And I was telling someone earlier, because we are teaching at a facility where they're doing drug rehabilitation for a group of people here in Conyers. And I said to the group, we were saying to the group that we think of ourselves as separate from nature as opposed to being part of nature. So I was saying to them, these are people that are dealing with the challenge of drug use. I said, right now, you be in the present moment. And I said, if you want, you go outside. And we were teaching them deep breathing techniques. And I said, as you breathe the air and you touch the flowers, understand that you are part of all of this that we call nature. You are part of the ecosystem. And if you understand that when you breathe in the air, okay, that when you walk outside and you plant food and you go outside and behold the beauty of the sun, that nature is telling you in all the subtle ways and obvious ways too, that you are part of us. We are together. The trees and the flowers and the plants, the animals, they're our brethren. And we're supposed to protect everything upon the planet, okay? So this is what we say about truth. So anything that is about balance and about continuing and perpetuating the creation that God has set forth for us, that is the truth. And so you look to nature as the one that will teach you all of these things, along with your parents and what other teachers that you have. These are things that apply to everyone equally. Okay, so so understand that a lot of things are happening with the weather, volcanoes erupting and hurricanes and the earthquake we had recently, and I believe that was Northern California. These things will continue because humans are arrogant and think they can control everything. Like we said last week, it's too many people living in California, that area, Northern California cannot support water. We talked about how the Native Americans have known this for a long time. So now these things have come to a critical point where they cannot be ignored. And that is because the only way that people will get it together and have some action to take care of the mother, it has to be something extreme where people are affected and hurt and injured and even killed, because these things have been said by many people for many years. No one was listening. No one was listening. Sri Yanyamasa, Sri Charles, and Master Vasant, and other masters and teachers have been talking about this. But the only way that hard-headed humans can listen is if something happens drastically in their lives that causes them to take pause and say, wait a minute, we need to do something now. And that's where we are now, because, you know, as the children and the extension of God, all of us, we failed to listen to how to maintain this basic blueprint of the planet. Okay. And so this is where we are now. So now let us talk about the things that are happening around the planet with various people that are not being treated fairly. We're talking about people and indigenous cultures and Black people and innocent children and women, the disabled, anyone that is being oppressed. So the time now we are saying is that time is coming to an end where people will be mistreated. But no, now, because a lot of people are now shouting out loud about how oppressed they are, and we're not going to take this anymore. And they may want to smite down those that oppress them. But understand that you cannot be angry. You cannot do this with violence. It has to be done with love, because love is your armor. Love is the strongest armor. And the only way that you can teach those that oppress whatever group of people it is you have to show them that you are strong with your love. Your love will make you strong, and it will show them that they have no more power and control over you. Whatever group that you're part of, this applies to you. You cannot do this with violence or screaming and yelling and saying damning words. It will not work, because it's just going to breed more misunderstanding, more arguments, and more fighting. And when we're talking about universal teaching, we're talking about the universal teaching of brotherhood and sisterhood all over the planet. So for that to happen, no matter where you are, I don't know if you're here in America or in a country in Africa or in South America or Ukraine or Russia, China, Taiwan, wherever you are, just know that you who are oppressed, the armor that conquers all is love and forgiveness. If you do not have that, then you're going to have a continual problem. So we want to state that most emphatically, that you, the oppressed, the only way you can shake the chains and keep the chains away by showing forgiveness and love. And those that choose to try to squash you out and have your voice silenced, they will see that they can no longer hurt you anymore. When they see that, that's when the complete healing and the peace will pervade the earth. And many teachers and ancient ones have talked about this. So this is in several prophecies and told in many different cultures across the world. But this is the way to solve this. So when we teach Agnihotra, we're teaching a way for anyone to be able to combat these oppressors, perceived or otherwise. Because remember, if you think you are oppressed, then you're more likely to stay in that oppressed state. So as soon as you break free of I'm oppressed and say I'm breaking free of that, then already you'll come to the place where you can have forgiveness against for those who are against you. Okay, because they have the veil of ignorance. But when you love them, because love is your armor, then you are very fortified, because that is God's shield. That is the mighty shield there. So that is something very important we wanted to share, because I know everybody is talking about Me Too, and if they were raped or pedophilia and all these things that are going on, that they feel like they need to speak up and maybe get some more physical and more vociferous actions going on there, but that's not going to work. I mean, it's just like the fighting that's been going on for thousands of years over there in the Gaza Strip. I mean, at some point you have to say, listen, we're all brothers and sisters, no matter who killed who and all of that. You have to come to a place of, listen, in this present moment, let me love you as my brother or sister. So that's where we are with that. So now we're going into organizations. So when we talk about oppressed, okay, we're talking about not just individually, but what has happened systematically within many organizations and groups that do not protect the children, that let pedophilia run wild, do not protect the women, the downtrodden, those that are seeking help, whether they need help with drug addiction, or even if they're rapists or they're doing very bad things in the community. These organizations and groups are soon to be dismantled, because the Creator did not want certain groups or any group to come about and take advantage of anyone. So all these things that we're hearing about with the children, okay, that stuff will be rectified, because that is absolutely wrong. How can you be part of a group or an organization if children have systematically been abused and it's not been rectified? But God is dealing with all of that. There are many ancient ones involved with getting the balance back proper with all of these things, and it will be no longer. Soon all of these things will come to light, and all of that will go away. But as an organization, any organization or group, you are not to take advantage of any people that come to you for help. It is not allowed. God is not happy with all of that, and that will be rectified with in the way that is appropriate, but that will not continue. So, as an organization that's filled with teachers, or if you're teaching in general, you are supposed to guide people that need help or have questions about life or what it is to experience God. You're supposed to guide them directly to the source, to God. You're not to be a crutch where people have to keep coming back to you for answers. Because if you are a good teacher, this is from ancient yogic tradition, you are to never to be a crutch to who you teach. You're to guide people to be able to find the answers on their own, because every person is a temple within themselves. And this is the way of very ancient ways that may have been long forgotten. So you as a teacher, and we all are teachers to some degree, but most certainly if teachers that are with these organizations, but if the flock is not getting tended to and they have to keep coming to you, that means you're being a crutch. And God never meant for people to be so reliant on a teacher that they cannot connect and experience God personally. So you give them the information and tell them that to experience God, go sit still, go touch a tree, meditate, breathe, understand you are part of this beautiful design. Okay? This is what every teacher, every good teacher is supposed to do. You guide the person or the group of people to the original source. Okay, to the original source. And so when you return to the original source, then every person will be liberated and the veil of ignorance will be lifted. And this is the way of the eternal truth. And so for any teacher, and this applies to anyone, if you have a teacher that is not doing that, then that is not the way of universal teaching. Universal teaching is about teaching everyone how they can heal themselves, how they hold wisdom if they just sit still and listen. And so when we teach yoga and deep breathing, what we're saying to you is to sit still and experience God. You're having the union of your mind and the energy of your being to really connect with God, the creator. And that's what every teacher is supposed to do. It's supposed to direct you to the source, just simply guide and not be a crutch. And so when we talk about crutches, going back to when you come back to your family and you've done the work and you are this temple of love and kindness and forgiveness, you teach this to your spouse, to your children, to your neighbors, to your coworkers, and understand that you too cannot be a crutch, especially for adults in your household, because everyone has to do this individual spiritual work on their own. Everybody has their path. So you simply guide them the same way a teacher is supposed to do, to go to the original source for liberation, for understanding. And that's why we say when you perform Agnihotra, the more you perform it, the more you open yourself up to this knowledge that the Creator put here on the planet. And know that every leaf, every petal of a flower, every ray from the sun, the brook, when it goes down through the woods, every drop of the water has the wisdom. But you have to be still. You have to be silent. You have to observe and not talk and argue so much. Once you understand that, then you can understand everything there is to know. And then you'll have the real experience of God. So we are saying that these teachers at these organizations And these companies or whatever that are misleading the people, the time for that has come to stop. It will be stopping, okay? Because it is wrong to mislead people, especially when they're innocent and they're hurting, okay? So, and another thing with the teachers, anyone that is teaching and they're teaching in this way of universal truth, they are doing this with humility, which means that they are humble. They are not about themselves. They are not about having millions of followers or thousands of followers. They're about you and your self-development and making sure that you stay on your journey, on your path. And it does not mean they're going to block you from making mistakes, because you will make mistakes or missteps, but they are simply to guide you. And it's done with all humility, because the more humble a teacher is, the more beneficial for the student and the teacher too, because it cannot be any puffed up ego when you're teaching. You're there to serve. And the student, when they're learning from the teacher, they're serving the teacher, because it helps keep the teacher grounded that they're there as service too. So it is symbiotic. And understand that this type of humility from the universal teacher, it is directly part of quantum physics, because humility, that is the language, okay, of quantum physics, because you have to be very subtle to be very mighty with your teaching. The more profound the teaching, the more subtle the teacher has to be. Okay, so that is quantum physics in play. Yes, quantum physics and spirituality, yeah, very much in sync. Okay, so within that humility, which is necessary for all teachers, that is how you teach anyone that wants to learn how to experience God. And without the humility, then you do not have the universal teacher. And just understand that the person that is puffed up with ego, that's chaotic and it's loud, and it takes away from the teaching. So we also say that universal teaching is not about the teacher, it is about the teaching. So any path that you're looking at, if it's so focused on the teacher, you need to think twice about that. It should always be about the teaching. And so a universal teacher is most concerned that you understand the teaching. So as we said earlier at the very beginning of the broadcast, that truth is, everyone has their version of truth, and then you have the universal truth, and it's the same thing for universal teaching. So if it's so focused on the teacher and not the teaching, you need to think twice about that. So we wanted to share all of these things with you today or this evening. You understand what really the path is to experience God personally and completely on a moment-to-moment, day-by-day basis. You are the temple yourself, that you can tap into anything that you need to understand and know directly from the Creator. And you use a teacher to guide you gently, but never to be a crutch. And within your own families, you're never to be a crutch. You teach and you guide, but you do not interfere with what needs to happen with your spouse, your children. You know, we're talking about if they're adults and things like that. And so that is the truth. So now we see the dismantling of all of these organizations that are pretending that they care and love the people, okay? And they take advantage of these children and the women and all these things. And we're talking about organizations, groups. We're talking about certain countries that are doing things. And I'm very specifically not naming names, okay? Because everyone knows of a place that has some kind of something or organization that's going on. So all of this will come to an end because the creator is like, it's time to get a balance going. And so all the things you're seeing now in society have to do about a rejuvenation, a cleansing of the planet, a cleansing of the minds of people. Okay. And once we get this understanding, then we can have real universal peace. And everyone is not a part of love and forgiveness. The ones that want to breed hate and bring about darkness, they will be no more, because this has been ordained from all of the ancient texts and all of the ancient ones. So we're just relaying this information. Everything is coming out to light now. So there is no more chaos that will be endured now, especially with innocent people, because the meek and the underserved will inherit the earth. And so when we talk about, and we've been talking about the last several months about, I'm doing a lot of work with people that are disenfranchised and people that may not be deemed worthy of being worked with and tended to and loved. So I'm working now with people that are drug addicts, people that are murderers and drug dealers and pimps and child abusers. So these people deserve love and understanding, and they deserve to have renewal of their minds too, because they too are members of society and members of someone's family. They're part of God's family. So I am teaching various groups on how to get filled with love and to train their minds to not be discordant with misdeeds and missteps. So this that we're talking about, it applies to everyone: the rapists, the murderers, the pimps, the prostitutes, the drug cartel people, everybody. This is accessible to everyone, not to just this group of people, or here, you do this thing that's not so bad. Everybody has some kind of misstep or misdeed. And so we're here to say that Agnihotra, which is a way to purify the planet and purify your mind, yoga, deep breathing, and sitting still. We are a society where we move around too much. Nobody has time to sit still and to take care of their brothers and sisters that are suffering. We move too fast. And so I understand that we're a member of this group and that group, and this economy and that economy. But the ultimate group is being, the group of humans under which you were created by God. That is the only group that matters. And so we are here to take care of each other, and those that are mistreated, stepped on, downtrodden, frowned upon, that have fallen and they need help. You're to lift them up by the shoulder. You're to hold them and say, listen, I see and feel you. What can I do to help heal you? And that's where we are now in universal teaching and for universal healing. So we wanted to share this message with you this evening, because it's very important that everyone understand that on a collective level, we have to get it together. And so individually, and let me say this very emphatically, we need to say this emphatically, that every individual has a responsibility to work on their self-development and their understanding. When you have every individual doing this and they all come together as a group, then the human evolution, the collective consciousness can bloom and be back to the balance. Then the earth can be healed of all these things we've done to it, from cobalt mining and mining of lithium, for these cell phones that we have, and, for these electric batteries that it's not sustainable because there's not enough of those resources. We keep plundering the mother, the planet. But if we train our minds, then we won't have to be protesting so much about save the planet. If we save the minds, then the planet will already be saved, because everyone would know what to do. And you cannot force someone to take care of the planet. You can only show them how they are part of the planet, how important they are to the planet, perpetuating and being healthy. Only then would the planet be saved. Until then, it's just going to be, whatever people are doing now. So someone was saying to me, well, you're talking about everybody working on themselves collectively. That's not possible. But we know it's true because we've seen this with Martin Luther King and Gandhi. These people, these leaders, they started with the one person that said, hey, I have a dream, let's do this. And then they found another person that shared the dream, then another person. So it always starts with one individual working on themselves, and then they combine with other individuals that are working on themselves towards a common goal. Okay, just like you have these leaders, these tyrants, and they start off with one individual too. Well, the opposite side of that is the ones that are of light. They do the same thing too. It all starts that way. And please know that any of these tyrants that are famous or not so famous, they understand about good and bad too. They just choose to not do the thing of the light. But some of these people, they're artists. I'm not mentioning any tyrants' names, but I'm talking about well-known tyrants. Some of them are well-known artists, or they were talented artists before they became tyrants. Some of them wrote beautiful poetry or philosophies. Okay, like I think that was Pol Pot. And then even I was looking at the documentary several months back on Ted Bundy. He looked straight into the camera and said something about he knows what right and wrong is, and you should be good. I mean, and he looked sincere. And I looked into his face, because they got close up on his face in this documentary. I could see that he made a choice. He used his free will to do heinous things, but I could see a little glimmer of light there. But he closed the light down and said, "Nope, I'm going to do these bad things." So I'm here to tell you that even with those, and we've been talking about murderers and rapists and all these people, even with these people that do the most heinous things, there is light there, but they choose to close that door on the light. So please know that people that do all these things, they're made up of people that have made free will. They made the choice, and they've used their free will to do these bad things, but they know right from wrong. So think about that when you see that someone is locked up. And when I say also too, disenfranchised people, I'm talking about organizations that know people are wrongfully convicted and jailed for a long period of time just because they're a certain color. When a person from another socioeconomic bracket doesn't get the same sentence, that counts too. We all are equal and deserve to be equally treated with love, respect, dignity, and forgiveness. So that is the message that we have to share with you this evening. As always, thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Agnihotra Ladies, the Cosmic Clinic, and we've been live here at Shantivilla Institute. Our website is Shantivilla Institute. That's SHANTI, villainstitute.com. You can DM me on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Shantivilla Institute, or Shanti Atlanta. Our main location is closed down for renovation, so everyone's coming to the Conyers, Georgia location. Tuskegee, Alabama is our main location. And our email is shantivillainstitute@gmail.com. And the phone number, and I always get it wrong, I don't answer the phone, but it's 334. Um, okay, hold on. Let me make sure I tell you the right office number, because Jason normally answers the phone. It's 334-740-6440. So email is probably the best. You can message me on Facebook. You can post questions here. And we teach Agnihotra for free. That's always taught for free because that's gift to humanity that God put there. And then we also teach deep breathing, yoga, gardening. We have a little small garden at the Conyers location, and we have a 13-acre farm at the main location at Tuskegee, Alabama. So if you are dealing with, challenge of, if you are a rapist or you're having those type of thoughts, contact your health professional. But also we will come out and help with anyone that is in a halfway house or dealing with any of these serious challenges. If you're trying to get away from selling drugs, or being a pimp, or if you're a prostitute trying to get out of the business, please contact us and we can help you. There's no judgment. It's only the teaching of mind renewal. So we will come out to your location, or you can come to your location with your health provider if you really have in a way where you have to have your psychotherapist. You can have your psychotherapist call us. If you are on the cusp of that and you don't have a psychotherapist, you can come here anyway, and we will help you in any way possible, so that way you can train your mind to be full of love, and deal with whatever challenges that you're dealing with. Okay? So thank you once again, and have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you the next time.